Welcome back, everyone. Today we jump into a critical subject: what happens to the world if the United States slips into a recession. A downturn in the US isn't just a local event, it sends economic shockwaves across the globe, particularly hitting countries that rely heavily on American trade, investments, and financial systems. From Canada to China, we're going to explore the economies most vulnerable to a US slump and explain the reasons behind their risk. With global tensions escalating, trade barriers rising, and consumer confidence dipping, the stakes are incredibly high. So stick around as we break down the data, examine the risks, and highlight the potential ripple effects for these at-risk countries. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more insights into the global economy. 1. Mexico. Mexico's economic health is tightly connected to the US, with around 80% of its exports, including cars, electronics, and farm goods, going to American buyers. A US recession would reduce demand, particularly impacting the maquiladora factories near the border and slashing the $60 billion in remittances from Mexican workers in the US. Already battling corruption, underdeveloped infrastructure, and oil market volatility, Mexico could see the peso depreciate sharply, pushing inflation higher and triggering widespread job losses. During the 2008 crisis, Mexico's GDP shrank by 6%. 2. China. As the world's second-largest economy, China depends on exports and the US is a major buyer, accounting for more than 18% of Chinese goods sold abroad. A drop in American demand could result in tens of billions in losses, factory closures, and layoffs, threatening China's 5% growth target. Add to this the ongoing property market crisis, Evergrande's $300 billion debt and over $6 trillion in local government debt, and the risks become even more serious. If global trade slows and tariffs rise, public discontent could grow, especially as economic hardship increases. 3. Germany. Germany, the industrial backbone of Europe, sends over $100 billion in goods like cars and machinery to the US each year. A recession in the US would hit demand hard, hurting giants like Volkswagen and Siemens. Already dealing with high energy prices due to the Ukraine conflict and a sluggish Eurozone, Germany could lose its trade surplus. During the 2008 financial crisis, German exports fell by 15%. If trade barriers increase, Germany may face rising joblessness, bank instability, and mounting pressure to support weaker EU countries. 4. Japan. Japan's export-driven economy relies heavily on the US, which buys about 20% of its $700 billion in exports. A US downturn would dampen that demand, affecting GDP and exacerbating Japan's existing issues, such as an aging population, a shrinking labor force, and public debt surpassing 250% of GDP. Persistent deflationary pressures could worsen, reminiscent of Japan's lost decade in the 1990s. If the yen falls and trade slows, Japan could see a market crash, rising joblessness, and instability in its financial sector. 5. Brazil. Brazil's economy is heavily reliant on exports of commodities like soybeans, iron ore, and oil, much of which go to the US and China. A US downturn could crash prices, causing soybean exports alone to fall by over 30%. With political instability, 5% inflation, and a public debt nearing $800 billion, Brazil could see its currency fall, making imported goods unaffordable. Job losses and civil unrest could follow, similar to the 2015-2016 crisis when GDP shrank by 7%. 6. India. India's economy depends significantly on its IT and services sector, which derives around 40% of its revenue from American clients. A US recession could slash outsourcing contracts by 20%, reduce remittances, and curb foreign investment. With about 20% of the population still living in poverty and infrastructure challenges lingering, India could face rising inflation, stagnant growth, and mass unemployment. 7. United Kingdom. The UK, with its prominent financial sector and trade links to the US, stands to lose significantly in a US slowdown. American investment could drop by $50 billion annually, while demand for British goods, especially pharmaceuticals, would take a hit. Brexit-related trade complications, 3% inflation, and public debt at 95% of GDP already leave the UK in a delicate position. If the pound falls and growth slows, the economy could contract sharply. During the 2008 crisis, UK GDP shrank by 6%, and a similar event now could cause bank failures, rising unemployment, and a loss of investor trust. If trade becomes more restricted and consumer spending drops, the UK could find itself on the brink of economic collapse. That wraps up our deep dive into the 7 countries most at risk if the US enters a recession. In today's interconnected world, a downturn in one major economy can ripple through dozens of others, causing widespread instability. If you found this insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content on global markets and geopolitics. Think a country will surprise us and rebound quickly? Let us know in the comments, we'd love to hear your take. Stay informed, stay curious, and we'll catch you in the next one.